Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are here live from Mindset Monday. I am here with my co-host Dave. Dave, what's going on, brother?
Jonathan, I'm great, buddy. I'm doing well. How about yourself, man? Good to see you.
I'm doing great. Had a good weekend. Got to go to a charity event this weekend. That was awesome. Very
Nice.
well run by my friend John. We've raised a lot of money. My son loved it because I got to tell you, like, I want to shout out a pro athlete. Not that he needs it, but like uh, Billy Q. He's a UFC fighter.
Hmm.
Right, second year in a row, he was in the lane next to us because it was a bowling event. And I got to tell you something. As soon as he found out my kid did martial arts, he's like, "All right, let's go." And like he did the full out athlete thing, and him and my son were just throwing blows back and forth. And I'm recording it. And then the best part of it is he goes, "All right, my son goes, let's get a picture." He My son pulls him down to do a selfie. I'm like, you want me to take the picture? And before I could even do that, he's like this. And Billy is like probably like 5'10, 5'11, bending down to my 9 year olds just so he could do the selfie picture. And it is hysterical.
That's too
So
funny, man.
it's cool that athletes, like just regular dudes that like to give back. He was very, very cool.
Yeah, man.
Um,
That's awesome.
so what we were talking about prior though is Dave and I, we want to go over how to implement things. Everyone talks about 75 hard, how you're doing the daily reading. Everyone goes to these events, right? And at these events, everyone gets so fired up, and most of the time, there's really good tactical information that's shared, right? But I can tell you that I have been to a couple of events, and I always see the same people there. Okay,
Mhm.
and I'm not talking about just going to an RTA event. You can go to a couple different events with different speakers or different coaches or different influencers, and you always see the same people there. Okay. And they go from thing to thing to thing, constantly looking for some secret sauce or motivation. And I think the problem with that is you're not actually getting what you need out of it. Okay. And I'm going to give you a couple things I do when I go to an event or when I read a book that help me get the most out of it. And then, Dave, I want you to fire a couple off. Like, I'll
Mhm.
tell you right now, when I go to an event, I take notes. And I'm not taking notes about the context or what they're saying. I'm taking notes about how to implement it into my own business or into my own life. Okay. So I take all the notes and then I write out a detailed plan where it's going to fit into my company. All right. I'll give you guys a great example. When we went to, it was probably an RTA event 2 years ago, and he spoke about, Andy was talking about making sure your clients feel appreciated and making sure they have a great experience. Well, after I heard that, I came up with a process that everybody that takes, that works with us, we send them out a gift on their first, every time they take or work with us, right? It's usually a handwritten note, and then we take a customized, or we take a mug or a tumbler, a really nice one, and then we etch their logo and our logo into it on different sides. All right. And that's something they're going to take with them and actually use. And then if they do something, if they continue to work with us, then they get a mobile charger with their logo in. Okay. And it's still, they get a handwritten note, but it kind of changed the processes that we have as a company. I implemented those after hearing Andy talk about how important it is to keep your clients, keep your customers happy. You have to have a wow factor. All right. I can tell you that I've probably heard him say that in his podcasts or at events or in person many times. Many people do not actually implement. That's the difference. You need to implement these things. It's no different than reading. But I'm going to pause there. Dave, give us something that you do to get the most out of this continued education.
Yeah, I mean, you hit that nail on the head with what you said there. Looking for that one piece at least to come and bring back and implement. And I mean, to me, that's everybody should be looking at that. But for me too, it's all about getting around people that have that same vision too, especially in something like those events because there's so many people from so many different types of businesses, right? Different backgrounds, so you never know who you're going to meet. And I think the most important thing too, it's also creating those relationships. I've created some really good relationships because of Arte or because of somebody in Arte. And guys, look, Arte is not the end all be all either. There's tons of different uh, great groups out there as well that people can implement. We're just using that as an example, but it's pretty big deal to kind of, for me, it's creating relationships, but to kind of take it outside of Arte, I think if you are going to look for an event or some type of nugget to take away or even mentor, start going to events that are in your field. A lot of people, I think, have this perception that why would I go to somewhere there where all the people are in the same damn industry that I am? That makes no sense, right? It's a terrible mindset to have because number one, there's just so much abundance out there. It's a piss poor mindset to really go in with that these people are your competitors. Sure, they are your competitors. Let's keep it real, but they're also your allies, right? And you never know that if somebody's journey, if you're in year 3, right, and you meet that person that's in year 15, year 20, what can they help you with? And obviously, you want to bring something, but just that interaction, relationship. What can that bring to you as well?
Dave, your audio is cutting in and out. Can you check that real quick?
Yeah,
I'm gonna talk about. I'll let you get back to that. I like that.
yeah,
What Dave's saying is when you go to these events, surround yourself with the right type of people. You guys can learn a lot from your peers. All right. True story. And if you're like me, if you're in an industry that you really don't like a lot of the people that are in, and that's the truth. Like I do everything completely different than everybody else in my business. I actually pulled that away from other similar and like industries. Okay, so I looked for top producers in mortgages, top producers in insurance, uh, any top producer in financial services, and I looked at what they were doing, and I wanted to see how much of it could I bring over to integrate it. So that's another way. If you don't like or you're not fond of people in your space, look for similar or adjacent industries that operate closely to what yours does, and then look at the leaders in those industries and see what you can get from them. See what you can borrow or use in your with your own company. And a lot of times they're going to be much more willing, okay, to have that conversation. And don't be afraid. You should pay people for their time. Okay, I hate. Oh, I'd like to take you for a cup of coffee, or I'd like to pick your brain. I hate those questions. Okay, I fucking hate them. Absolutely not. No, no. Just no. Okay. There's better ways to go about getting the information you need than hitting somebody up. Oh, can we grab coffee? Or I'd like to pick your brain.
that's
That's very low IQ, stupid shit.
that's
Okay.
as cringe worthy as it must be.
Yeah, it is. You know. The other thing too, guys, like I want to break this down for you guys. Okay, everyone has times in their life where they're crushing it, and everybody has times where hey, things aren't going so hot. All right, if you are short on cash or things aren't going great, going to an event is probably not the best idea because they require a good amount of money, especially ones that are worthwhile. Okay. Not to say all the expensive ones are worth it. Most of them aren't. And there's some really, really cheaper free ones that are very, very good. However, if you're going to go to an event, make sure the people that are running it have actually built things and actually have done something. Okay. They're not influencers. They're not just great on a phone. The next part of that is, and where I was going with it is if you're in one of those seasons where hey things are not great right now or things are a little tight, read books on where you think that you're struggling. Okay, read books on copy and marketing if you're weak at copy and marketing, and then as you're reading them, actively underline and go back and take notes and figure out what and how you can implement into your business. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. And I got to tell you something. If you really break down what a lot of these guys are saying, some of the best speakers, best company, best entrepreneurs in the world, they've taken a lot of it from books. Like I can't tell you how much of some of your favorite influencers came from Seth Godin books, or the Purple Cow, or some of these things, and then they just tweak it and change it a little bit, maybe they speak to you and discuss it with you in a way that you haven't heard it that makes it click. But that's the reality, guys. Is even the top entrepreneurs, the top operators, that's what they're doing. Okay, and is it inefficient? Yes. Okay, you actually have to go through, do the steps, read it, understand it, implement it. But what they get on the other side of that is pretty substantial. So the juice is worth the squeeze. Dave, you got anything else on that?
Yeah, I mean, to add to what you were saying about books and everything else, and include YouTube University. But again, you got to find the right people, right? Everybody, the biggest currency today, I think, is attention. Everybody's out here trying to vie for attention, buy my shit, look at me, woo, you know what I'm saying? So, vet who you're reading out, but to go back or who you're looking out for, but to touch on those books. I mean, guys, a lot of the principles, they haven't changed to this day. You look at Think and Grow Rich or How to Win Friends and Influence People. Those are timeless classics that are basically almost 100 years old. And when you dive into it, that stuff hasn't changed. There's a reason why people are putting their own flair to these things, because they are timeless. They still work to this day amongst the massive change that society has gone under. Like, those principles never change. I mean, not to get biblical or anything, but it's the same reason why the Bible still is out there too, right? It doesn't change. It's timeless. So that's all I got, man. Just the most important thing is, guys, when you do these events or whatever you're looking, just implement them. Take action. Don't just suck it in and don't put out, man.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys.
Didn't you?
Struggling.
I think I called it at the end there. Like, hey, man, that's
yeah, you did. All right, guys. I'm not mature enough for this, but I hope you got something out of it. Share it with someone that you think.
I'm going to reshare the ending there, because we'll probably get 100,000 likes just for that alone.
All right, guys. I hope you guys crush it. Take care.
Be great, y'all.